Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So it's Tuesday morning. I woke up, got on YouTube, and I wanted to hear some boxing talk. Blue Blood Sports TV basically made an instant classic video when discussing the 154-pound division. So before I even get started, I just want to say hats off to Blue Blood. That was a wonderful video. Me personally, I know I can't even say it any better. You covered all the bases, but I do want to give basically my feedback on the video and my feedback on the overall 154-pound division. First thing first, like I said, I think the video was great. It covered all the bases, and I've been saying for the longest time that 154 pounds is my favorite weight class. Obviously, for certain reasons, it's due to the luck of the draw. You know what? I can't even say that. I was about to say due to the luck of the draw because all of these guys, majority of these guys are under Al Heyman in the PBC, but I can't even say that's due to the luck of the draw because that's basically the same situation when it comes to the welterweight division. But a lot of these guys still aren't fighting each other. No matter what's the reason, what's the excuse, a lot of fights aren't being made. So when it comes to 154, everyone knows, if you've seen any of my previous videos, Jared Hurd is my guy. Now, I talk trash when it comes to Jermell Charlo all day, every day. But I'm a huge fan of all of the guys at 154, especially the PBC fighters. But like even Jaime Munguia, even though he's not getting in the mix at all, he's on the DAZN side. His promoter isn't saying anything about him unifying. To my understanding, Jaime Munguia is with Oscar De La Hoya still, and you know how Oscar De La Hoya, every time he gets on a mic, and every time he's in a beef with Floyd Mayweather, he talks about how he's all about making the best fights. Well, Oscar, when it comes to Jaime Munguia, you see these wonderful back-to-back fights we're having at the 154-pound division, and Oscar De La Hoya has zero damn interest in including Jaime Munguia in the mix. I mean, Jaime Munguia at this point, he could still fight Jermell Charlo, Jared Hurd, Tony Harrison, J-Rock, Erickson Lubin, even Austin Trout. Like, all of these guys can be thrown in the mix. Arislandi Lara. It's so many guys that can be thrown in the mix that Jaime Munguia could be facing right now to make his resume remotely respectable, but it's not being done. Now, like Blue Blood said in his video, he basically laid out the timeline for each one of these guys. The timeline for Harrison when he took his loss to Willie Monroe and he took his loss to Jared Hurd. The timeline for J-Rock when he took his loss to Jermell Charlo. The timeline for Jermell when he took his loss to Tony Harrison. The timeline for Jared Hurd all the way up to this past Saturday when he took his loss to J-Rock. And then also all of these guys, great moments when Jared Hurd unified with Lara, when J-Rock took those belts from Jared Hurd, when Jermell Charlo became the WBC champion, knocking out Erickson Lubin in the first round, to Tony Harrison working his way back up after 2 KO losses and beating Jermell Charlo. Tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. And I feel like when it comes to this weight class, any guy, like stylistically, you can mix and match these guys, and one guy will beat the next, and then he'll lose to another guy. And I feel like it's one of those things where 154 pounds is a true testament to styles make fights. I believe that certain guys have the other guy's number, but obviously we don't truly know that until it's a rematch. I mean, we've seen fights like Canelo Alvarez and Arislandi Lara happen at 154 pounds, But guys like Lord never got his just due. He never got the rematch that I truly believe he deserved. I think Lord beat Canelo, but he never got his rematch. So it's just one of those things where it's very annoying to me when guys get shitted on for having tough fights. And some people say, well, I'm not shitting on him. But my thing is, if we're truly about the best fighting the best, then it has to be taken into consideration. Well, let the best actually be determined instead of who we crown as the best. Last time I checked is, in order to become the best in that weight class, you have to go through a gauntlet of opponents, not the guys that look like they can be the best, and let's have them fight due to the popularity associated with them. Let's have them go through a gauntlet and figure out who's actually the best. And at this point in time, I thought my guy Jared Hurd was the best. Well, as of this past Saturday, it's been proven he's not. J-Rock, at this point in time, J-Rock is better than him. At the Jamel Charlo-Tony Harrison fight, at that time, Tony Harrison was better than Jamel Charlo. Now, if Jamel and Tony Harrison, they're running it back June 23rd, I want Jared Hurd and Julian Williams to run it back. Now, at that point, if those guys win back-to-back, it has basically been set in stone that they are better than the opposition that they face. So Harrison better than Charlo, Williams better than Hurd, and then that means the best fight in the best should be Tony Harrison versus Julian J. Rock Williams. To me, that's the best fight in the best. I mean, if Jared Hurd and Jamel Charlo fought and it ended in a draw and Jared Hurd moved up to 160, a lot of information wouldn't be known. If Jamel Charlo wouldn't have fought Tony Harrison and he fought someone else because he wanted to play it safe, just like Blue Blood said, comparable with how Triple G moves, we would have never known the type of heat this division truly has. We can speculate on it and sit back and say, yeah, I think this is the case and I think that's the case, but we actually, at this point, we truly know. And rematches are only going to further the information that we have on these guys. Yeah, I've known going into the J-Rock fight, Jared Hurd, his kryptonite is his own defense. It's his lack of adjustment. Now, sometimes, you got those people that where they may know their flaws, but they don't take making adjustments and they don't take making changes serious until they face some type of adversity. And I truly believe Jared Hurd will make adjustments. He will change his game plan up. I believe Jared Hurd has other aspects of his skills that he just has to focus on more when he's in training camp. But with all that being said, man, just like Blue Buzz said in this video, respect to all of these guys. We can have the loyalty that we have to certain people based off our region, or if it's based off popularity, whatever the case may be. But 154 pounds is doing something at this moment in time that no other major weight class is doing. The best guys are literally fighting the best. And this is what we say that we want. But it seems like it's not really fully appreciated, because I've been hearing a whole lot of talk of, well, this is what happens when you stall the big fights. No, this is what happens when you take consistent tough fights back to back, and it proves if the big fights are really the big fights. Only thing I feel like these Jamel Charlo and Jared Hurd taking an L just put a lot of transparency in the division, letting everyone know that maybe that wasn't the best fight the division can possibly have. What if the best fight the division can possibly have is Tony Harrison and J-Rock, or Jamel and J-Rock, or Jared Hurd and Tony Harrison rematch may bring fireworks, or Jared Hurd and Jamel Charlo. Or it's like, what if we don't receive the best version of Jamel Charlo because he never fought the Tony Harrison fight? What if the best version of Jared Hurd never comes out because he never took an L at 154? Like, so many things can happen, and so many stones could have been left unturned if these guys didn't face top opposition. I mean, I talk trash about Jamel Charlo. but he's faced tough opposition. That Austin Trout fight was a very difficult fight. Now, even though my guy stopped him, and that's the argument I like to use when discussing Jamel, I've said it on multiple occasions. I don't believe Jamel Charlo's power is where everyone says it is. I truly believe when it comes to Tony Harrison, Jared Hurd, Jamel Charlo, and Julian J. Rock Williams, I feel like their power is all around the same level. It's just the other attributes they have is what actually makes the difference. Tony Harrison, with his slick boxing ability associated with his power, makes him a completely different fighter from Jared Hurd that has the ability to wear his opponents down, with in addition to the level of power that he has. J. Rock Williams, with his ability to execute a game plan associated with the power that he has. Jamel Charlo, his athleticism associated and his explosiveness associated with his power. I feel like these guys' power are all basically around the same level. It's just they utilize it differently. And the other attributes associated with them is what makes the difference. And all I can do, just like Blue Blood said, is take my hats off to these guys. To me, this should be the most respected division in boxing today. I mean, at middleweight, it's a lot of maneuvering. It's a lot of politics. It's not guys taking tough fights back to back. I mean, damn, Canelo just slipped his way to 168 when he could have fought Charlo prior to this Danny Jacobs fight, but he didn't. To me, the equivalent of Canelo Danny Jacobs was a unification bout, and he decided to move up. That's like Jared Hurd. To me, Canelo Alvarez moving up to 168 to fight Rocky Fieldhand is the equivalent of Jared Hurd in between this. Instead of taking the Julian J. Rock Williams fight, he moved up to 160 briefly just to get knock off some lower level guy at 160 and then face Jamel Charlo. But he didn't. He didn't pull a Canelo. He didn't be extremely strategic in his moving around and not making any excuses. But the reality is Jared Hurd was coming off an injury. He was coming off an injury. The same shit that people criticize Keith Thurman for doing, taking soft touch after soft touch and prolonging the inevitable fight against Earl Spence Jr. Jared Hurd, he stepped in there. He got one tune-up. He stepped in there with a tough guy. And people always want to bring up, well, Hurd said he got to fight all of these right-handers. I mean, Hurd could have easily taken the easy route. Just like Tony Harrison could have taken the easy route and not did the rematch. Now people say, oh, yeah, but there's a rematch clause. We all know rematch clauses are good up to 1 year. And the guy, I mean, come on now. Look what Keith Thurman did. It's not difficult to avoid a fight. And when Tony Harrison said that in front of Leonard Ellerby definitely co-signed that. Like, yeah, he definitely could have avoided this fight. He could have went out of his way to make this fight happen. Jared Hurd just had a surgery. He could have said, man, my shoulder acting up again. And he could have prolonged the inevitable. Tony Harrison could have prolonged the inevitable. But these guys are being warriors and they're facing tough competition. But when you criticize these guys, when you're not giving them their just due, and in this case, I'm talking about Tony Harrison not getting his just due. People are not giving Tony Harrison the level of respect that I know that he deserves. It puts people in a position where they start wanting to move strategically. It puts these fighters in a position where they say, you know what? Why should I care about the fans when I put all this effort in and then they shit on me due to a popularity contest, due to this is the fight that they wanted, instead of letting what happens in the ring dictate what the best fight actually is. And it seems like we have a lot of fans that definitely don't realize the hypocrisy in their ways. Like, in one breath, don't say you want the best to fight the best, and then in another breath, criticize this man after he put in work. Tony Harrison, I truly believe he won the fight. Other people feel that he didn't. Well, he's running it back. And all I can say is people are talking about unifications with J-Rock and Jamel Charlo at this point. Like Tony Harrison didn't already beat him. Just like the same people that are saying that Jared Hurd having a media rematch with J-Rock isn't a good idea. It'll be the same result. Well, that's exactly how I felt about the Tony Harrison-Jermell Charlo fight. I feel like Tony Harrison is going to come back. He's going to be a lot better. And it's like he'll be able to outbox Jermell Charlo even more than what he did. Now, it's the one thing is like you can respect Julian J. Rock Williams for his beautiful execution against Jarrett Hurd, but the words that he said when it comes to Tony Harrison being able, he will beat Jermell Charlo again. Why don't those words carry the same weight? Like why, what he did Saturday night, why doesn't that basically put a serious stamp on what this man is saying? It's because it's a popularity contest. It's a big popularity contest associated with the Jermell Charlo Tony Harrison fight. I truly believe Tony Harrison will get the victory. And if he does, great for Tony Harrison. Unify with J-Rock and let's see who the best guy is. If not, that's fine too. As long as the best guys continue to fight the best and they don't move around strategically, I'm all good whatever the outcome is. But I feel like all these guys need equal respect put on their names because they could have easily pulled a Canelo Alvarez. They could have easily pulled a Keith Thurman. They could have easily pulled a Gennady Golovkin. And they're not. So we have all of these fighters that we see on a consistent basis move extremely strategically, and we bash them for it. But then we have guys right in front of us not doing that. They're letting the results in the ring basically dictate what the actual best fight is, and to me it doesn't get any better than that. So just like Blue Blood Sports TV said, hats off to the 154-pound division. Hats off to Jarrett Hurd, Jermell Charlo, Tony Harrison, Julian J. Rock Williams. Hats off to the PBC, and hats off to Blue Blood Sports TV for a phenomenal video. This is Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm still stuck in this damn traffic, but it's all good. I'll talk to y'all guys later.